We present tonight one of America's most intelligent comedians, Robert Klein, who made television history 20 years ago with the first comedy special ever broadcast on cable on the HBO television network. This Saturday night, he's back with the 20th anniversary special called Robert Klein, It All Started Here. Geez, I haven't seen you in person for so long, and I used to see you all the time when I lived in New York, and I hope that you're well.
I am, and it was great to see you, too.
Same.
After my introduction, I wanted to do this, like on Meet the Press.
Remember when they did that?
Yeah. And from the Dallas Morning News.
When cable started, what did cable change? What did HBO change when they put this first comedy special on the air? Because there had been comedy on television, so what was different now?
Oh, I'd say there had been great comedy on television. Well, as far as stand-up comedy was concerned, it became a question of, instead of just the tip of the iceberg, you had to get somewhere in this business before you got a Johnny Carson show, a Tonight Show. And then you got 5 minutes to live and die, or die. And in this one, a guy named Harlan Kleinman, who was in programming HBO, which was a very small little outfit, a couple of 100,000 subscribers.
If that in the beginning, truly.
Well, yeah. That's right. They were mostly in the Northeast, and although it was Time Life, and they said, hey, you take a kid like Klein, you put him up and show him for an hour in a college concert like he really does it. No restrictions on language, concept, go do it. And the art directors went around to the various places I had booked and chose Haverford College because it was an old wooden theater with statues of geezers.
Philadelphia, right? Yeah.
Right near Philadelphia. Yeah. Right, in Bryn Mawr. And thus it began. They had had a polka special before that, which is true, actually, with an experimental thing, but they never had it. And then shortly thereafter, it became a huge project. Within a few years, it was gigantic.
Yeah, exactly. But in the beginning, what was HBO? It was like movies, huh?
I thought it was Hibbo. When I first started. Watch Hibbo. I had no idea what it was. Movies. That's what it was. You could see a blockbuster within a few months of its appearance in the theaters. That's when they could afford them. You know, then they realized they could make their own, and the time dwindled a little bit. That's what the business was like then. You could actually see an uninterrupted movie and uncensored in your home. And they got the idea of these... it's very unsentimental, this corporate world, as you may have noticed. Years later, at one of the HBO soirees, Nick Nicholas, the then CEO of Time Life, was there, and I said, boy, Nick, it was a brilliant idea of you to have hired Harlan Kleinman. He thought of this idea, the on location, said, I didn't hire him, I fired him. That was it, you know, he was unsentimental by that time. Then he got fired, so...
And what about Robert Klein? You've had some tough times here recently. I know you went through a divorce, which was not pleasant for you.
Well, it's a few years now, yeah. But, that took over my life for a while, yeah.
And what about having to be funny when there's pain in your life?
It's true. There is a Pagliacci quality to... you see, everyone has to work with heartache, whether you're a brain surgeon or a house painter. I just think there's an extra irony if you happen to be a comedian. At that time, I had a show on the USA Network, a talk show that was on once a week in front of an audience. We were on 2 years. We were later replaced by the real estate seminar, the Dave Delgado cash flow method, in which Dave shows you how the cash flows right from your bank account to Dave's.
Dave's right. Don't you love it when they come on and they say, for $19.95, I'll show you how to get rich, right? I mean, please.
Well, it actually was a couple of hundred, I think. But, you know, you have no cash, you purchase an apartment building. You know, these things. The government sells them for $1. They're surplus. They were kind, but I tell you, whenever I look at any of those tapes for any reason, it brings back a lot of heartbreak because I had to go to work heavy-hearted. Suffice it to say that it was preventable and not helped by incredibly unethical lawyers. But,
And your son, he's 11 years old.
Allie is going to be 12 shortly. He's a marvelous boy. He occupies an enormous amount of my time and life.
One of the reasons that you've chosen to stay in New York and not move to California.
Yeah, well, I love the East, but I would actually split the time if I had to. I enjoy doing Sisters, and I would do more of them. They're very generous. But I can't be away that much, especially as his mother is a singer and on the road a lot. She's a concert singer.
And now, do you bring him out here occasionally when you're working out here?
Yeah, he came and saw where I worked at Warner Brothers.
Neat.
Yeah, see where I go, how I speak to him on the phone. And then he was at Comic Relief, and they were... you know, Robin and Billy Crystal, and I go back a very, very long time, and they all were so sweet to him. And he had poise. He wasn't just blown away by just meeting them.
Does he know yet what you do for a living?
Not quite.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when my kid was little, you know, it took her a while to figure out just what it was that her old man did, you know, because other guys would go to work in insurance or in advertising or medicine or whatever.
He finds it quite unremarkable. Well, first of all, let's face it. I love children. They're incredibly selfish, and incredibly self-centered.
Of course.
They see things in their early life in terms of how it affects them, which is not unintelligent. They are, after all, helpless and must use more cunning.
And they are their own world.
They are their own world. I did Sesame Street. It seemed not to impress him. I wanted to bring him down, and I'm glad I didn't. You know, there was Snuffleupagus and Big Bird hanging from the ceiling out of... in storage, you know, it isn't the... It's like in Disney down in the park, they don't allow the characters with the big heads to talk. They don't want inconsistency.
Right,
you know, Mickey Mouse, yeah, Mickey Mouse, well, just come down on the auto train, you know. Or some Czechoslovakian refugee getting $6.20 an hour. Yes, I'm Roger Rabbit, you know.
No, they want to preserve the image. I remember one night the Muppets were hosting the Johnny Carson show, the Tonight Show. But Jim Henson was there on a Monday night, and he and Kermit and the Muppets were the guest hosts. So a bunch of us were backstage. And, you know, when they finished, they'd take Kermit the Frog and throw him in a barrel, and then Miss Piggy would go up. And I'm thinking, wait a second, you can't throw Kermit in a barrel. You're not allowed to do that. You know, we forget that these are, after all, creations of fantasy.
I was fascinated, though. When I saw my first Saturday Night Live that I hosted, the fifth show in the first year, they used to have the Great Favog. They had these adult puppets, and that's when I first met Frank Oz, and I couldn't stop watching how they did it. But it's true. When you see a ventriloquist, you tend to look at the dummy.
That's right. That's right. We are with Robert Klein, whose special on HBO is coming up on Saturday. It's called Robert Klein. It all started here. Back with Mr. K and you on the toll-free after this short break.